Hello, hello. Thank you for journeying with us today. Grateful to be here with you, as is the Council of Light. And we always like to pop in during Mercury retrograde with what's most helpful at this time. And Mercury retrograde is actually a super potent time. And so take just a moment and recognize that everything is working for you, even when it appears not to be. And have you adjusted your timing appropriately for Mercury retrograde? Because it goes slower, it moves slower. And if we move into the rhythm of Mercury retrograde, we don't have the schisms that are popularly reported by the masses because they didn't adjust their timing. So if you recognize Mercury retrograde is a time to slow down, to reflect, to possibly ponder, to work on maybe healing past things. You may have noticed different things coming to mind, coming up for review, like past regrets, things you haven't fully forgiven and released from the higher perspective, maybe forgiveness of self. And so, what if you could use the remainder of Mercury retrograde to create a deep, profound shift for yourself? Because the pieces that are coming forward at this time are coming forward to shift because things are ripe for reinvention. And when Mercury's in retrograde, it's easier for us to make the shifts. The number one thing the guides are showing me at this time, in this now moment, is reminding you to feel what you feel. If you do nothing else for the remainder of Mercury retrograde, feel what you feel. And can we show you what we mean by that? And can we show you what it feels like, how to, and that it's safe to feel what arises without attaching to a story or giving the past stories meaning? It doesn't mean thoughts won't arise around what's happened in the past. But there's a way for us to observe what's arising without continuing to ride the hamster wheel. Think of it as the last go around of the hamster wheel as you witness what the hamster wheel is made of, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, maybe the disempowerment, the regret, the fear, the grief, perhaps, or sadness, maybe anger. And as you allow for that last spin of the wheel, you complete the cycle. When you do it in a conscious way, when you do it in a way where you're not continuing to give meaning to the story that it represents, that it symbolizes, that triggered the emotions and the thoughts. And so, can you do this through a sheer act of will as the small self trying to make it happen? Maybe, but it would take thousands of years. If you take the hand of your higher self from the awareness of what's going on, oh, this is the hamster wheel I've been on, maybe for years, maybe for lifetimes, and I'm witnessing it very clearly now because it's ready to complete. And then crank up your courage and self-love, recognizing that the emotions are energy that's fuel for a vibrational shift. And when you ride the wave consciously, in a place of non-attachment, non-judgment, not giving meaning to the story, you allow for the completion. And so we're going to bring in that process, inviting you to just bring to mind one thing that's perhaps been coming up. You feel like you're like a dog with a bone. You can't seem to resolve it. It keeps spinning, keeps coming to your awareness, keeps being triggered. Memory of something, or maybe it's just emotions, a certain pattern of situations or circumstances that are disempowering or trigger anger or fear or letdown. And allow for it's like leaning into your column of light, remembering you are a being of light, you're witnessing, observing, allowing yourself to be present and aware of that circumstance, situation, what's arising, thoughts, feelings, emotions. Maybe it's the self-critic. Pick one thing. And one of the tools that I brought in many, many years ago with the Council of Light that supports us in kind of stepping out of the cycle, stepping out of the hamster wheel so we can observe it, is reminding ourselves, I'm never upset for the reason I think. And that's Course in Miracles inspired, but I'm never upset for the reason I think. And that gives you a bit of distance where you start to release your attachments to the stories. And so are you willing to release your attachments to the stories and what you think this is about? What you think it means, what you think it means about you? Are you willing to release all the meaning you've given it in any time frame or dimension, known or unknown, conscious or unconscious, past, present, or future? It is just you being willing. And then recognize that you are linking in with your higher self through this exercise, this process. And you're saying, higher self, I'm willing to release the meaning I've given this. Will you help me? So you're just asking, you're just choosing to move into a whole different relationship with whatever this represents for you. And recognize that it symbolizes something in consciousness, and you don't have to know at this level what it is. Your higher self knows. You being willing to release the meaning you've given it allows your higher self to then take the reins and to start to move through a process of reinventing to a higher octave your relationship with all of it. Are you willing to forgive and release whatever it represents and symbolizes? Are you willing to completely forgive and release yourself and others? And release all attachment off of the outer? Are you willing to remember who you are in truth instead? And upgrade your identification with what this symbolizes for you. Will you let your higher self help you with that? You can just say, I'm willing, higher self, will you help me? Or you can say yes. And then just breathe. Stay in the observer, allow any emotions to arise, like clouds passing in the sky. Important to allow for the emotional shift, the emotional release. It's really emotions redirecting themselves into the energetic fields, creating the vibrational shift that's being asked for. And so we're going to ask for that now specifically. Are you willing to activate the vibrations of the spiritual lessons that this symbolizes for you? And I'm just witnessing. We're going to invite your body and teams to do the same. Reinventing your relationship with it to a higher octave and allowing for the balancing and stabilizing of all your energetic fields, ripple reflection of the healing appropriately. Filling yourself up with your own light, your own essence more. Updating all grids, all reference points, especially your identity grids, all ways in which you perceive and are perceived. Shake out, reboot. So for the next remainder of Mercury retrograde, depending on when you're listening to this, and beyond, really, guides are just reminding you to be willing, encouraging you to be willing to feel what you feel, to allow the emotions to flow, and to lean into that space of observer where you take the hand of your higher self and invite a reinterpretation. invite a forgiveness, complete forgiveness and release of whatever it symbolizes. You don't have to know what it is, but it requires your willingness to move out of how you defined it, how you've related to it, how you've danced with it in the past. It's just your willingness and then your choice. That's really the highlights, the important pieces, the bullet points. Because without your willingness, your higher self simply patiently waits for you to choose and allow for the redirection, the reinterpretation, the healing, the release, the liberation. And as we record this, we are preparing for the equinox on March 20th, depending on where you live in the world. It might be the 21st, or is it the 19th? I can't remember, but the 20th where I live. And we're going to be doing a transmission for that equinox gateway. And it's a launch point into a new cycle, a new beginning. And so take some time to tend the hamster wheels that are on, it's like on the road to completion, inviting a completion around, so that when you launch into the new, you do it from a harmonic, clean, undistorted place. And maybe take some time to set an intention for that launch point. The transmission we're going to offer is still in the process of formation as far as bullet points, but I will say it's going to link with attuning to you as the liberated one. So, and like creating the optimal opportunity to launch, the optimal energetic launch for you into the new cycle. And they're showing me this represents the next year, but also really the next two years. So it's 2 cycles. It's more than that, but they're simplifying it, that are beginning. And it's more than that. They're showing it having this grand ripple effect. But hopefully you can journey with us for that transmission on the 20th. We're offering it on a sliding scale. And I'll put a link below, and you can read more about it and determine if it resonates for you to journey with us for that transmission. And you also get the recordings to listen to as many times as feels appropriate for you. I want to thank you for showing up today, and we look forward to connecting with you all very soon. Much love.